This is the talk of Music City real estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and My Mortgage Team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode of chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com. That's questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Monty.
Carey Ann, Jason Hoover.
Yes.
Welcome back. I am pissed. I mean, that's not a good way maybe to start the show off, but I am sorry, but I'm pissed.
Shazam!
Here's the deal, guys. I mean, seriously, a few hours ago, somebody was referred to me because they were telling their relative a situation that was so wrong that even the consumer knew, well, this can't be right. They wanted to look at a house in Hendersonville, and the agent that they called, the listing agent they called, said, well, you have to put an offer on that house before I can show it to you.
An offer?
What?
An offer on the house before they could even look at the house. And the lady said, well, what if I don't like the house? And she goes, well, you don't worry about that. You can get your money back and everything. It's like,
no way.
That's a stinking game that it breaks my heart because, I'm fighting for our future. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm fighting for the integrity of our reputation, and it breaks my heart. It's why, I said what I did because at the incompetency level of, makes me want to scream.
Was that legit?
It was absolutely legit, and I don't want to mention any names of any companies, but it's somebody who's got billboards all over the place. Their agent is not, anyways, they're just not being trained apparently to say something like that. I know what the game is. The game is, if you want to look at this house bad enough, you'll make an offer on it, and then I've got a buyer agreement signed, and my goodness, if that's how you're getting your business is tricking people into getting signatures.
That's not good.
It breaks my heart. But anyhow, before we get into our topic today, which is going to be Jason Hoover.
Winning the offer.
Winning the offer.
Winning the offer.
That's a relevant topic.
Yeah.
If there ever was one.
Yeah, especially right now. You're right.
Let's talk about our sponsor.
But before we do that, yes, Music City Removal, they are the #1 junk removal service in Nashville from residential, commercial, and construction. They're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor, dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute.
It ain't cute, and it ain't cute to what sometimes people are doing with our reputation, Jason.
There is a lot of things going on out there. And, as brokers, we get a lot of these phone calls. And I tell you, it makes me scratch my head quite often. I'm going to eventually start looking like Jim, with no hair.
Is that what happened, Jim?
I just don't
Sorry,
understand.
brother.
Hey, we love you, though. You know that.
I'm used to it.
We love you, brother.
Even though that was legit, was it legit? Like, can I just make up my own rules?
No, that's totally unethical. It's wrong.
Goodness,
it's absolutely
wrong.
Like,
that's just craziness.
And unfortunately, I don't know that the agent was even knew, because I don't know that this company is really doing a good job training people by any stretch. Because I know what they pay their folks, less than 20% of the commission. So what kind of?
Well,
not that that's the issue. The issue is some intelligent behavior on the other side of that phone, which is representing us. See, here's the deal, Jason Hoover. If you dropped the ball, guess who else dropped the ball? I did. Not because we're connected by business, but we're connected by this umbrella called the real estate industry. You dropped the ball, I dropped the ball. Because why? Because we're all under this thing called the real estate industry.
Sure.
Your termite company does your Midtown, your title company, your home inspector, whatever you're recommending in that experience, or whatever your experience is. The reason why people are avoiding, some people avoid working with a real estate professional or agent, I should say. As Jason and I know, there's a difference between being an agent and being a real estate professional, is because of those kind of rumors, those kind of experiences, those kind of happenings out there that are all but professional.
Right. And on our company chat, we heard two instances.
Wow.
Two separate instances this past
weekend. Yeah.
And this is don't be that agent, but it's kind of playing in. We'll get into the win and the offer, but two times that these listings, there's far and few between, right? So you have they're stacking showings on top of each other. Well,
15-minute showings.
Yeah, but you'll have multiple agents, like at 11 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock hour that will go through. Well, two different times, an agent locked the door.
No.
Got there ahead of time, locked the door, hang on to the key.
It wouldn't let them in.
Is that
now? Okay, yeah, that's an insult to the agent, but the agent's clients are standing right there.
Sure.
So what impression is that giving them?
Guess who got another black eye under that umbrella I was talking about? It hurts our reputation as an industry.
Right.
So you do double showing, so I could see it with another family.
You have to.
You have to right now.
Yeah, right now.
Oh, it's so many.
Last time we had 75 showings on the first Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to, and you have to cooperate. Come on, we're in this boat together.
Right.
That's what I loved about the responses of our agents on GroupMe is that's what they were saying. Look, we're in this is uncomfortable here, okay? Yeah. We're all squeezed into here. Nobody likes this, but let's work together. Come on.
Yeah, I love the camaraderie that we have in that.
Yeah, no, that's
So that's really good.
Let's talk about the challenges.
How do you win this? How do you win this environment? Jason, you're up front. You've got a front row seat having one of the top producers in our company as your wife and partner in this business, and you're getting to see it from a broker standpoint right there of what's going on. So let's talk about this. This is a great topic, a very relevant topic.
Well, and it's no secret that this is not just a Nashville thing. This is it's a national. I don't know if it's an issue, maybe an issue that there's hardly any listings out there. It's any inventory. Right. So, but you have to make the most out of it. And, one thing is worrying me is that these houses are going for so much over asking price.
And it doesn't matter what price point, whether you're at 2, 3, 5, 9,
doesn't matter.
$1.5 million. $2.5 million. I was like shocked, overly shocked.
I was reading one that they lost the offer at 100,000 over. I mean, it's so what's going to happen when things settle down? But
how can you outbeat desperation?
Right.
I mean,
part of the challenges we know is people are coming from out of town with different dollars.
Sure.
They're pricing the local community out of the marketplace. They've got glasses on that were in California or wherever, and so when they're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's 2,300 square feet with a 2-car garage, that's not in the in a rough area or whatever, and if we have those kind of things anymore, and they're not concerned about overpaying for it because it's so much better, cheaper deal than what they came from.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, these offers, it's nothing to just, you already have to prep your buyers. Hey, it's going to be a multiple offer situation. That's
welcome
just here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I would definitely always state is that, in order to win the offer, it starts by you having an educational discussion with your clients, at the first. And that education is explaining the market, and if they're data driven, you can get on Real Tracks and pull some reporting, which is fantastic, and show them hey, this isn't just me talking, this isn't just reading an article, these are real hard numbers, and it shows a steep decline in listings
in inventory,
in inventory, and showing some proof, but at least having that conversation that how motivated are you?
Right. And you're setting the proper expectations, right?
Thank you.
Because
Yes,
the situation is, as much as you and I want this house, we need to prepare that our heart could be broken. I mean, and how do you do that? I mean, I hate to walk into that, but we have to be prepared, right? We're not going to go into Shark Tank unless we're going to get the bid, right? We're going to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success.
Well, and so let's look at one, to that point, let's look at the one question that we all get. What should we offer?
What should we offer?
Yeah.
And then, they always tell you, well, let's just try closing cost.
That's cute.
Right, but that's
I'd have a hard time keeping a straight face right now.
I know, and it's so hard though. But I think for me, I'm like, they're not going to take your offer. So when you're working with all of these other people, you know, I had this slam dunk perfect situation, and it was actually a manufactured home, and I am the queen of those, so I can do those easily.
Is that a title you really want to?
Trailer
I help anybody and everybody. I help anybody and everybody.
Queen.
Yes, totally.
How about single wife?
Somebody wrote a country song and made millions on it. I am working it. Listen, but
she's wearing
I
boots.
crossed every check, every box, and I did something, but it was perfect. And then all of a sudden, and she had the money to pay her own closing costs. Like I set it up perfectly, and she convinced the agent to write an offer asking the seller to pay closing cost. And this, I offered on a manufactured home, I offered a 12-day close.
Holy cow.
And then she went in with that, and guess what? We were outbid by another because of asking closing costs.
I thought, you know, I really appreciate my business partner, Blake Johnson, because on the way here today, we were talking about some folks he was working with, and he went all the way to Monte Eagle to show a house today. And I think that's part of the, you know, direction we're heading also, is we have to be okay about going out of town. You know, he went all the way to Monte Eagle. But my point is that people, his client was saying, well, you know, I want as good a deal as I can get here. I don't want to overpay because it looks like the comps are, and he had straight up said, look, do you want to find a deal or do you want to buy a house? Because I don't think you can do both. Right now, you can't, unless you're, again, willing to go way in the heck out. And maybe they haven't heard about the market today or something. But I think, again, it goes back to managing those expectations. And I think it's important to have a hard conversation on the front end. Do you want to get a deal or do you want to buy a house? If you want to buy a house, this is what we're experiencing. And this is one of the reasons why on our huddle calls on Monday morning, we have the benefit of the community to share some of these experiences so that, because we as real estate professionals sometimes find ourselves just in our world as far as looking at what we're dealing with. And we know we put a great offer on the table, but until we heard somebody else share from the listing side what kind of offers they received, it really helps take the lid off your thinking of, my gosh, I thought offering $5,000 over was a big deal. I thought, you know, offering to pay title insurance was a big deal. I thought offering to leave them, you know, let them vacate and 3 days later was a big deal. All those things have been stretched beyond anything I've ever seen in my 37 years. I mean, I'd heard one of those as well that offered $100,000 more on a $1.2 million home and didn't get it. Yeah. $100,000 more. Yeah. Now those aren't local dollars. I just don't believe that they were local dollars. Sure. I think they're dollars coming from another area that is saying, hey, I don't care what they're going for. It's still a great deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just kind of talk about some of these parts of submitting an offer and what we can talk about on as far as with our clients.
And the important role that a great lender plays.
Absolutely.
And I love what Ellis, he coached a class the other day, and I love his script when it says, now, will this be a cash offer? Would you like recommendations on mortgage financing, right? So depending upon if it's a cash offer or if it's mortgage, if it is mortgage, I think it is so important that they take it seriously. We can't judge a book by its cover. Does not matter what car they're driving. Does not matter that they told you that they made $1 million last year. That just all sounds great, right? And when you really open up the book, the rest of the story is something completely different. And so when that's a Wednesday and you're like, oh, I'm good, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to be totally fine, and then you call us up on a Saturday at noon, right? And we need to get this person pre-approved. And then I start asking more questions, and those more questions lead to, something doesn't seem right. And then I can't issue that letter, and this is all a truthful situation, can't issue that letter, and now possibly you're going to have to write something without a letter, right? Or then all of us, and I'm not even comfortable giving a pre-qualification at that point because I know too much, so it's not even adding up. So preparing, right? If Saturday's the day that you're going to show them a house, Wednesday or earlier, and how do you, and I would want to ask you guys this, so if you have a very strong-headed buyer. There's a few of us in the room that are probably those people that are controllers,
Sure.
right? So you're trying to control a controller. It's very difficult. So how do you control a controller and basically say, hey, so if you need financing, this is the steps that you have to follow? Like what? How do you coach people up?
I think one way to
that's
do
important.
it is what I did recently with some folks that I had the benefit of having worked with them in the past years ago. I said, Julie, are you guys in the mindset right now that you need to lose a couple of opportunities before you listen to your tour guide, or are you good for me to go ahead and be honest with you? Okay? And I think that's the hard part because, you know, I think most of us as human beings, when somebody pulls up in that Mercedes and they're wearing that whatever, you know, and carrying that whatever purse you ladies have that I don't know, it's a language I don't understand, you know, as far as recognizing a great, whatever, you know, I'm just saying you're seeing that. And so you're making some assumptions there.
Right.
And of course the guys, you know, a lot of times when we're driving something like that, we maybe have an ego along with that or whatever. How do you get into that person's? I think one of the best ways is simply being honest and saying, look, I really believe you're qualified for this. Unfortunately, we're going into a marketplace that they may not have that kind of confidence in you. They're not going to know you. This is just another offer on the table, and we've got to make it as strong as possible. You know, earlier today, Carey Ann, I was talking to a guy that was referred to me that he was working with Lending Tree, and they approved him, and then I found out he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a job here. He's moving from California and doesn't have a job here, and he was resistant on having your people talk with him. I said, look, we can do that, but you're getting the cart before the horse, because she'd already fallen in love with the house, okay? And I said, look, we can do this, but I've got to be honest with you. The likelihood of you getting a deal accepted and to the finish line is really, really remote if you're not working with a local lender, because let's pretend like that other agent on the other side of the transaction is somebody with some history behind them, and that they know the value of dealing with a local agent or lender versus an online lender who has no local accountability. Let's assume that. And we get there, and your wife is crazy about it. You say, this is cool, my car fits in the garage, everything's awesome. And then, you know, they're saying, okay, well, we didn't know this before, but now you've got 3 hours before all offers are in. Because a lot of that's happening out here. You know, their agents are putting a home on the market one day and saying, okay, you got till tomorrow noon to get your offers in. And they haven't gone to the exercise of making sure that the lender, local lender, or any lender had an opportunity to do an actual pre-approval. Do you think for a second you're going to get that house? And that's what I finally had to tell him today. You guys don't have a chance of getting accepted if you don't have a solid approval letter by a local lender. And I just think it starts with, you know, managing those expectations. I think in today's world, you're better off with your feet up on the desk reading a book than chasing after somebody who has not gotten the confidence in you yet that they're doing that they're getting actually an approval letter. With a local lender, not somebody made up in somewhere else that doesn't have any local accountability.
Yeah, and then we take that the next step, and we, with permission, you know, you say, Carey Ann, go ahead and call. We then call, you know, the listing agent and sell that offer for financing and sell our reputation and sell that we close loans as quickly as we do. A guarantee. There's one thing where you can have a local lender with a big bank, you know, even though they're national, but they have a local branch here. That does not mean that they're not using corporate's underwriting process. You know, the whole meme of, I hear it's still in underwriting or something. I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
It's in line.
Oh, it's in line for underwriting, right?
When I heard that last time, I thought, how the hell are you using somebody that only persuasion you have is to be in line?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Say,
an empowering
lender,
feeling. That must make your client feel really super. We're in line.
My lender likes to use fast passes. So it's like Disney World over there. She uses the fast pass too. But I mean,
that's a great example.
That is super, super important, right? I just spoke to a client who called, who was supposed to close last Friday with another lender, and I'm luckily the one that a lot of people call to fix the problems. I'm like, I'm thinking I'm going to go with Mortgage Magic Maker. I don't know, like something with the
Mortgagemagic.com.
That's too hard to say.
Yeah.
Mortgage Magic.
That's
Maker.
the whole point. It's supposed to get you tongue tied. But I was talking to him and I said, "Sir, we're in a situation. and I need to be very straightforward with you. He's like, you're the only one who has been, right? And I'm like, again, they're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to happen. I said, let's back up for 2 seconds. Let's educate where if you're trying to do this, you can't have that. I don't know what they're trying to do. And they keep extending the contract, but it's never going to happen. I said, our only option is to do this. Are you open to doing that? Because if you are, I'll go sell it and I'll make it happen in 8 days for you. But if this is not even what you think is comfortable for you, then we need to probably let the seller know that they need to go find another buyer, kind of thing. But why are we not being upfront? Why are we trying to and then you as a listing agent, here we need an extension. Well, nobody's telling the truth. It's all smoke and mirrors, right? And that is frustrating for me. When you say about bad reputations, there's people in the lending world. Now, again, I'm very much employed because of that. So I guess that's okay that they're like that. Because
let me say it then, Carey. Let me say it. There's a philosophy in that industry as well, is that if you get enough people on the top of the funnel, there'll be enough come through the end of the funnel that you can live on. And I'm sorry, but that's real in my experience, okay? That's why I'm so damn cynical when it comes to mortgage, that you got to use a local professional like CMG, Carey Ann at CMG. And I'm sorry, you didn't ask for that, Carey Ann, but that's my reality, is because I've seen too many times, oh yeah, we can make that happen. Oh yeah, we can make that not a problem. And they get everybody on the line there, get all these dominoes in place, and that person never was qualified to start with.
But also, sometimes
It's positive now. I was going to defend her industry.
True. But sometimes I make it look really easy. There are some loans that are easy, and then there's some loans that are really difficult. So giving the lender enough time to give you a true approval letter, like a legit...
That's important.
I got you. Versus, I'm just going to, what if it doesn't really, that doesn't work. I mean, that makes you not happy with me, et cetera. If I tell you it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Right. So I would probably challenge the lender to know that letter is not even what does a pre-approval really mean? I mean, if you ask every lender, there's probably a different definition. My definition is on board, like I'm guaranteeing it. It's close enough to approval. Approval to me is an underwriter has actually verified what you've provided for me, so it's that extra layer. But a pre-approval for another lender could possibly be a pre-qualification. Right. So you're at that point, you're just playing words, who wrote the letter, type of thing. So be really specific. That's why the local lender
means something. And to me, I don't know if we told you this or not, but not long ago, Blake won a VA offer with CMG over a cash offer that was very similar in amount.
I saw that on Facebook.
A VA offer.
I did not know that actually happened, and I saw that on Facebook after, and so I called my office. I was like, "What's happening here? What did we promise?" I was just making sure.
No, that's one that actually that's the same one that he did in 10 days.
Yeah, so he promised a 10-day VA close. Sure. But again, what we wanted to do,
but we won against a cash deal.
You did, and I will help you do that no matter what. And I'm actually surprisingly sometimes saying, "Well, do you want to move it up? Do you know about our fast track option? Would you be interested in learning more about that?" I mean, it's free. It's just using our talents to be able to get you to the finish line, because so you can outbid, a cash offer. So let's talk about your government buyers. A lot of listing agents say, I don't want to do government because of blank. A, they don't understand it, number one.
That's the most common
They think
one.
that the appraisal is going to come in lower. They think that there's going to be repair requests, right? So you and I are, if we should, similar to trying to win any offer, take real estate out of it, you take all the concerns, you write them down, and you have answers and solutions to all of them on day one, right? So our approach to the seller is, you may question about this, but here's my answer to that. You may question this, but if you come in with having all of that knowledge in the upfront, why would anybody question you at 7:00 looking at all the offers, right? You presented them with, and then you have a very talented lender call and say the same thing over again, right? Why would we not, maybe possibly, except if it's dollar. At that point, you're playing dollar for dollar, right? As in, I put 10,000 over, this over, et cetera. And some buyers simply don't have the money, right?
I don't know if you know this or not, but one of the main reason why he won that deal was because your name was attached to it.
Oh.
That's just true.
Well,
that's just true. I mean,
my mom and dad would be proud.
because that was a real estate professional who recognized the value of a strong local lender who had their shit together.
Oh, well, that's great. And again, it goes back to, talking the talk and walking the walk, as in words and actions have to come together, right? And that's super important. You'll find that we're not just going to say we close 8-day closings. We do it. Do we want to do every one of those on 8-day closings?
No, think so.
Right, because it's a lot.
I hate to see you lose all that beautiful blonde hair.
I'm going to wigs. It's really fun.
I got your next marketing thing. It's the fast pass closing.
Oh my gosh.
Fast closing. I like that.
Love it.
So
There we go.
Jason, have you seen any other things new or that we can add to our folks that are watching, as far as any other new ideas that you have seen lately? We know we've talked about ribbon before, but even ribbon's getting priced out of the market in some cases now.
Well, so let's talk about some of that. First point on there, it's you always want to ask the agent what's most important to their clients.
Other than price.
Yeah, outside of price, what's most important to them. And then you meet that, right? You got to make the deal as sweet as possible. And this is, obviously after they've already talked to a lender, got the pre-approval in hand.
And you maybe want to exceed that because there's other people maybe making that same call.
Correct. So the first point on there is what is your offer price, and one of the things that we share with our clients is because they're always asking what should we offer. Well, in a multiple offer situation, you don't know. You're playing cards at this point. So the way we tell them is, it's like, hey, if you love the house and this is the house for you, what is your cutoff point that you say, if I don't win it at this price, I'm okay. I can go to bed. But if you tell me, let's use numbers, fictitious number, say the house is $325, and you're saying, you know what, if I don't win it at $350,000, I'm good. It's not worth it to me. But if you say, I want to put in $350, and you are going to be upset that you lost it for not offering more. Well, I could have offered another $5,000, $6,000. What if I offered another $10,000? Then maybe we need to offer more on it, because we don't know.
Right.
It becomes the personal. It becomes so personal to you as that house. The worth of that house is how bad you want it.
So let's talk about the shifted numbers, right? So let's say initially you were comfortable putting 15% down, but you want to put more, right? And maybe the house, we have to always assume that the house could possibly appraise or not, because people are throwing cash out there. And it's helping the comps, but it also, depending upon if those comps get, so where an appraiser actually can see it, so we're struggling a little bit with that. But you could lower you can increase your loan to value, so put less money down, right? And we can talk about really creative ways to get around the mortgage insurance if you're concerned about that. There's an EPMI option. There's a finance option, which is really popular now, where you finance a mortgage insurance over 30 years, so it doesn't really affect it as much. And then you have that extra cash to play with to be more competitive out there, in the marketplace. So we're talking about
difference over appraisal.
Right. So, well, we're talking about, shifting numbers a little bit. It does
Getting
make it
creative.
more, and being super creative, pausing, and taking that puzzle, breaking it apart again, and trying to put it together a different way. Now, that's if you have a little bit of money to play with, right? If you are working with minimal money, USDA, I swear, is on a 2-day turn time. I've never seen USDA on a 2-day turn time because nobody's using USDA currently.
That's
because
nobody's
right.
accepting it because it's THDA.
Right. I mean, literally, and THDA's got a great 100% program, but it covers the down payment. It doesn't cover closing costs. So you're working now sometimes with that program because they had their down payment, but you and I can't go get closing costs. So now I'm taking that first time home buyer that possibly would normally put 3.5% down. I'm taking them 100% and using that 3.5% towards their closing cost. So we're talking about shifting and being really super creative. The gentleman today that I spoke about, he was going USDA. Okay, so then I immediately said, well, who is paying closing costs? Well, sadly, he said the seller. I was surprised on that, right? Which means I said, so are you telling me you're putting zero into the transaction? He says, yes. I said, do you have any money saved? Because the best option I can do to fix this is to do this. Now, but I can cover your closing costs. So now we're back to your goal, right? If we make it that way. So it's all about somebody being... It's just, you have to slow down to speed up. You have to you have to really be creative, and it's all legal. It's just taking the time to know your products with the lender, know the ultimate goal. Sometimes I say, what does the seller want to net? your comp is this, your commission's this, right? So we back into the net versus how much did that seller want to net. It doesn't matter if the price is this, if the commission's that, and all of that works out. So sometimes we back into it, and we still get to what the seller wants. But the hard part with all that is there's so much coming at them. They don't know how to focus on that. This offer, and maybe you guys can relay, being listing agents. How do you decide, and what's legal or ethical on the decision, when it comes to all of this coming at you? How do you focus and organize it all? It would be a lot, I would think.
Well, we have a spreadsheet that's really helpful, where we list all the items as far as, the price and the agent and the, all the details, the closing date, any closing costs, who's paying title, what are they asking besides, are they asking for home warranty? All those things are on a spreadsheet. The last one I looked at, we had 12 offers on the property. And so it was pretty quick with that to see the top 3. And that's what I present to them. I tell them, look, you can see all of these if you want to, or you can trust me to digest it down to the top 3, and then we can go over those. And I'll be honest with you, from my perspective, which I think is probably the stronger one of the two, or the strongest one. And it may not be the highest price. I mean, we try to always coach our clients that we may not be accepting the highest one, which kind of tweaks them out to start with, because all they thought about was how high can I sell my home for,
right?
Not the most
but if
likely.
It doesn't close. I had a
exactly.
cash offer on a deal just recently. Cash met all the expectations, or whatever you call them, contingencies. I don't know. Everything's done. I'm just sitting, waiting. And a day before, I don't want to buy it anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
The day before.
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if it's cash sometimes. And this is the second time this has happened to me, so possibly it could be me.
No.
But
I had to ask myself when I got divorced the second time, okay, the common denominator is me in this situation.
Maybe that.
So what is
But
it about me?
it's that they're not buying it. And I'm so mad, and I'm like, that's the law. You should buy it. Like, that's the right thing to do. Things are going to happen, right? All across the board. So whether they're financing or as cash, it's not a done deal, is what I'm saying.
So let's talk about some of the things that people are doing trying to sweeten the pot. One is they're waiving appraisal and covering the gap.
Right.
Some people, like you said, don't have the money to cover the gap.
Yeah.
And so you can limit that amount that they'll cover the gap. So those are a couple of different things that people are doing.
I've seen I'll pay 5 over appraisal. 5,000 over appraisal.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen 25 over appraisal.
Right. Yeah, they at least put a stop on it.
Sure.
That's how much
we got to control
cash on hand they want to.
I also saw some on Inman this morning about searching for properties under your price point, knowing you're going to have to go up.
Yeah.
I thought that was a different mindset, because you're going to have to go up. And if you don't have the ability to go up to where you really want to be, then let's start your search into reality, because you're going to have to go up from there.
Oh, that's smart. I saw, Love Notes, and I saw, free, was it a year's worth of free dinners or something? I mean, some people are doing some goofy things, rent backs and different things. Because you're right. I love what you said, figure out the problem of the seller. What does the sellers need?
Yeah.
And possibly they need 6 months,
right?
So they need to live in that house, right? And so some of these buyers don't have the 6 months, and somebody else would. So it'd be a better, scenario. So being creative is key. What else have you seen?
Inspections. So, one of the discussions, should we waive inspection? I'm like, no, I would, unless you know what you're doing and you can eyeball and see things. I do not suggest that.
Unless you get underneath the house.
Right. Yeah, I just would not do that. Now, one thing that you can do that a lot of people are doing now is a pass-fail inspection contingency. So basically it's saying, hey, I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm just going to look and make sure that this house is solid. And I will say, yes, I'll take it as is, or no, I'm backing out of the deal.
So now you're going to say, hey, it's an FHA or a government type of loan. What happens if the appraiser at that point reference those things? We can call our friends over a punch list like we talked about before, and then they will do all the repair work to meet the FHA standards, and then they'll just charge you at the time of close.
Boom.
Your buyer can pay for that. You as the agent can help cover that, or you can talk with the lender, right?
Yeah,
so those are
perfect.
some organized things that you can get around. But why not already reference that, right on day one? Because they're going to say, if they're smart listing agents, they're going to say, well, what if this comes up on the appraisal, on a government loan?
I think one thing that a listing agent should consider doing in today's world is going ahead and getting a full-blown inspection on the property so that you can expedite things and avoid those. Because if you do accept one with an inspection because it's such a great offer, then 10 days later they say, no, I don't want it because found this in the inspection, or they found it at their house, or whatever the situation might have happened. And now you've lost that momentum. Mm-hmm. So what we had done on that house in Concord Hunt recently is we went ahead and got a full-blown inspection, and we gave them the inspection, make a decision on this, or we're going to choose them. We're going to find somebody who's willing to do that. So I think that's a thought anyhow, and make sure you have as much other due diligence available for them as far as neighborhood, standards and so forth, so they can make their decision with enough data. But I think it helps. We're putting our own home on the market here soon because I believe this is probably the best time to sell ever, and I hate moving. And we just refinanced with CMG, got a great rate, and here we are selling now. But I believe we're at the top personally, and I'm going to take advantage of that.
Are you buying an RV?
I'm buying an RV.
He's going on the road, guys.
Hey, let me tell you, I almost was thinking about the RV when my 2 doors down sold their house in 2 days for a crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe I'll be selling too, but I'm right with you. I'm like Aubrey's age. Where are we going to live in an RV? Like, what's happening here? Because there's no place for us to go,
We're going to have to go into a rental, and I hate that idea, and I don't like the convenience because we love living in Brent Mead. I just love that location because it's so perfect for us. But at this point in my life, I can't turn down the opportunity to maximize an opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. That makes sense. But you're going to be that seller. This is the difference, right?
I'm going to be that seller. You can damn well bet on it.
Yeah.
And Connie said, well, I'm not paying somebody 3%. I said, Connie Sue, we have an obligation to stand up to, when it comes to expectations, I think, but anyway, so it's going to be an interesting time to be on that side of the coin.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult, but you're going to be able to see. And I know, just like when I'm a seller, I'm like, I want to know the lender, and here's the deal. I knew the lender. Here's the deal. I made that lender have a commitment within 3 days. Yeah. Here's the deal. I had it all done. And oh, by the way, 3 days before closing, here comes the denial letter. I mean, just like what else? I mean, you do all your due diligence. So all you can do is continue, and you're going to have those what-ifs. Maybe have me not ever be the one buying or selling real estate. Yeah. Maybe your transactions will work smoother.
Yeah, and let me give a quick plug for the prior presentation or podcast we did. It starts with this is tough. We've been talking about, Jason, mental toughness.
Right.
I think it really, you go look up our last podcast with Lauren Weibert.
What's up?
Lauren Weibert. I'm sorry. And consider doing something to toughen your mindset up, because where it used to be, you might had to, work with 10 buyers to make a 6-figure income that year. You might have to work with 30 buyers this year. I don't know what it's gonna turn out to be. But my point is, let's start where it matters. That's between our ears, and let's keep our minds open, like you're saying, Jason, as far as thinking out of the box. And let's always use
there you go.
the best lender in town.
I love that. But also have your clients be prepared, because that discouragement just can break their heart to a place where they just, like the balloon just, deflated, and they aren't encouraged to keep going. And it's so hard to see. It's heartbreaking, to see that. But if you are, wanting to be creative on your offers, and use professionals that get the job done, my team and I would always be honored for the opportunity to help you guys. So thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to have you come back next week. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.